everyone. Welcome to Football Lab, episode 7, with me, Pete and Christian Brookes. And today we are going to be discussing the Premier League conclusion to the season, as well as the Champions League and Europa League finals. How is everyone?
All good, not bad. Enthused after a really good weekend of football. Nice. It was one of those final days you always remember, so really good. How are you, Pete?
Yeah, I'm fine. The season is over now. We can discuss all that happened, some surprises. It's going to be an interesting show.
Yeah, so going into the final round of fixtures, we had Leicester in 5th on goal difference. And do you want to lead me through, Chris, how the day was starting to pan out?
Yeah, well, sort of before the game started, I think Leicester were probably in the worst position. Having Spurs for one is not a good way to end the season. Even though they're on a bit of a bad run, I think it's a much harder game than Palace or Villa. And also being in 5th is obviously not a benefit. I think they were on the they had the didn't have the upper hand going in. So yeah, it was Liverpool, Chelsea, and Leicester in that order for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So yeah, that's how we started.
Yeah, and Pete, how did you think it all unfolded?
Actually, it was surprising, especially Chelsea losing to Aston Villa and Leicester surprisingly losing to Tottenham, I think. So, and because of that, they lost their Champions League spot. So it was till the last minute. It was all emotional, and everything was in the game.
Yeah, and well, really, Leicester went 1-0 up through Jamie Vardy's penalty. So it looked as if at the King Power Stadium they were heading for the Champions League, and then Aston Villa scored as well. So they went 1-0 up. So everything pointed to Liverpool and Leicester. Well, when Liverpool scored with Sadio Mane. But what happened to Leicester, Chris?
Look, they just didn't have the sort of stamina for the game. In this sort of a game, especially at the end of the season, having a FA Cup final and a midweek game, you need to have like a stamina to maintain your performance in the game. And like you said, Vardy scored 2 penalties sort of in the first sort of 2/3 of the game. But the Schmeichel own goal and both of Bale's goals sort of right at the end, they just didn't have the mental stamina to sort of carry it through. I mean, on 75 minutes they were in the lead and it looked like they might go through, but it certainly didn't pan out that way. So I feel it was just their kind of preparedness and stamina that didn't kind of serve them well.
Yeah, and Pete, do you think that Leicester will be scarred about this going forward? Losing out.
Yes, definitely. If you look at Leicester, it's the second season in a row where they concede, where they lose out on the Champions League spot. Last year, they were in top 4. Everyone thought they're going to get a Champions League football, and they bottled it. This season is exactly the same story. It is a better season for them because they did win FA Cup. I agree with Chris here that I think the fatigue, the tiredness got to them after playing so many games. The Europa League as well it took a toll on them. I still think it was a very good season, especially with the FA Cup. But at the end, it was a bit disappointing, especially they were leading against Spurs 1-0, then 2-1. And I think they could defend it better. Schmeichel was kind of clueless in that game. Well, bad games happen, but that was a very important mistake. And I think it led to Leicester to bottle it with the 2 goals from Bale.
I agree. Yeah, there were 75 minutes heading towards the Champions League. And then Schmeichel's own goal was at the 76th minute. And then two from Gareth Bale in the last 5 minutes. So, yeah, it's disappointing for them because Aston Villa did a favour for them. All they had to do was win. If they won, they would have been there. All they had to do was beat Spurs. Just put 10 men behind the ball. And to be honest, I like Brendan Rodgers and he's done a fantastic job, but he did bottle it with Liverpool when they were 3 matches away from winning the league. And this is bottling it as well when you're so close. So as much as he's a good manager and he won the FA Cup, which was a great achievement to beat Man United and beat Chelsea, and I think he's won 7 finals out of 7, including the ones at Celtic, he does need to see it over, and whether that's bring more better defensive tactics, they need to finish the job, really.
Yeah, I think that... go on, Chris.
No, I was just going to say, I hope it doesn't kind of scar their season. Actually, I've never had a really good season. They won the FA Cup, like I say, and they're in Europa League. It's not as if they're out of Europe altogether, especially for Schmeichel. I know he had no goal and it looked really bad for him, but last week in the cup final, he played really well and they could easily have lost 2-3-1 in that game if it wasn't for him. I kind of hope that they don't go into the summer sulking and thinking they fail. Actually, they've had a really good season and doing really well.
Yeah, and sorry.
I'm thinking that at the end of the day, I think Europa League is better for them. As you know, they were knocked out this season in the 1/8 by Slavia Praga. So if they cannot beat teams like that, I think there's no place for them in the Champions League. I think they still have to mature. I really like Brendan Rodgers where he's going with the young squad. I said that before, but I think he should maybe bring some more experienced players at the back, at the defenses, to strengthen up, the tiredness, to kill the tiredness, have more options.
And now Wes Morgan and Christian Fuchs are leaving. Wes Morgan's retiring at 37 after 9 years at the club, and then Christian Fuchs as well, who was also part of their title-winning side. They're going to need that experience.
Yeah. They're going to be weakened now, and they need to improve. Well, they need to strengthen, definitely. But I think they've been good, I think they just missed out, and it's a bit of a shame because I think everyone counts on a smaller team to make it big.
Yeah, well, credit to them. They stood toe to toe with the best teams. Like, to be third all of last season and third all of this season until the very last 1 or 2 matches. Credit to them. It's 38 matches, but for 36 matches they were in third. So they just need to see it out, really, or get some more wins along the way. But credit to them for challenging the likes of Liverpool, Man United, and Man City. Moving on to the Chelsea game, guys. What did you think of Chelsea's performance?
Chelsea was sort of handicapped, I think, with Mendy getting injured and Kepa coming on. It was going to be hard for them, and the penalty, as you made it harder for them as well. But they scraped through, I think. It was a poor performance, really, and a lot of people might say they didn't deserve Champions League on that sort of performance. But I think Tuchel knew at the end that they hadn't done enough. I think at one point he thought they weren't going to qualify. I wasn't aware of what happened in Leicester. But and they'll be in the Champions League next season. Although obviously, if they'd won the European Cup on Saturday, they could have still gone 5th and still been in it. So I felt like they didn't really deserve to win, and obviously didn't win. But they'll win the European Cup nonetheless.
Yeah. And also, they did beat Leicester, to be fair, in the second penultimate game of the season. The shootout, they won 2-1, so maybe they deserve it after all, even though they lost on the last day. Pete, is there anything you wanted to add about Chelsea or at all? I think you're muted.
That was a crucial game against Leicester City because if they beat them, because of that they beat them, they kind of made it the way to the top 4. And then, the game against Aston Villa, I think I was disappointed with Chelsea and with Tuchel because I was really impressed and I was praising Tuchel. But recently, they lost against Arsenal, and in the FA Cup they didn't really do much. And now Aston Villa, it looked like they were lazy, and I don't know, disappointing, definitely disappointing. Yeah. Maybe it's like they are hiding, the true colours before the final against Man City, but they are definitely looking weak now.
I think all 3 of them were feeling the pressure. I think that's the reason why Chelsea went 1-0 down to Aston Villa in the first half, didn't score in the first half, didn't play very well. Leicester scored through a penalty, didn't play very well, didn't see off the chances to win 2 or 3-0 and put the game to bed. Or Liverpool also stuttering against Crystal Palace until Mane scored. So, but I think all 3 of them were nervous. because there's so much at stake, so much financial.
Yeah.
Which leads me into Liverpool because they've really turned things around, haven't they, Chris?
Yeah, it really had. And they were really good stats, I thought. They were cool, calm, collected, did what they needed to do. And they were the only team who was sort of in a driving seat. Actually, it was all down to Chelsea and Leicester, I think. And it would have been easy for them to sort of sit back and get complacent and play as they did in January and February and sort of and not think about their own performance and end up losing. But actually, we played really well, and Mane's goal was well taken. It was nice to see Wijnaldum and the kit man as well. Yeah, and get like a standing ovation and a guard of honour. They're going to struggle, I think, without him next season. So without Wijnaldum, that is, and the kit man, I'm sure as well. But it's going to be hard to replace him. But yeah, played really well, I thought, and maintained that sort of form and class that they've always had.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that it's nice that Sadio Mane is back on the score sheet, just to have him score in a game, because he's had pretty much of a goal drought, hasn't he, Pete?
Yeah, he didn't. He was kind of out of form recently, and I think Mo Salah kind of stepped in for scoring goals. But maybe he finally is now unlocking his potential again, and maybe he's getting back. Maybe he's more motivated now. I can see the whole of the team, Liverpool, is being more motivated, especially with the results they have been achieving lately. From being 6th, 7th to 3rd, be on the podium. It's, you know, maybe it wasn't the best season for club, but it shows how great of a manager he is, that he could, you know, pull the team back, even though everyone thought that the season was over for them.
If you go back 5 weeks ago, I think if you go back to the middle of April when they drew 1-1 with Newcastle, when Joe Willock scored in the last minute, they were down and out and on their knees really, and it looked like they were 6th and they were far away from the top 4. From Leicester and Chelsea were miles ahead, but then they strung 5 wins out of 5 together, collected 15 points out of 15, and that was enough to overhaul Chelsea and Leicester. So amazing that they were able to string together 5 wins from the final 5 matches. I think that's really mission impossible. So,
and they've had such a sort of up and down season. It was top Christmas and New Year, and it was as if it was going to be like a repeat of last season. And then through into sort of February time, it went down to out of the top 4. I think since March, February, they've been outside of the top 4 now until the last day of the season. So it's really been like a roller coaster season for them, but they pulled it out of the bag in the end. I'm sure if you said to a Liverpool fan at the start of the year, you're going to come third, that'll be a bit of a sort of, you know, it's not good enough. So for next year, they'll want to improve on that and win trophies.
Yeah, definitely. Because
I also think that the Alisson header from the West Brom game kind of motivated the players as well.
Yeah. And
since that, Liverpool has been playing better, and even against Crystal Palace, that was Roy Hodgson's last game in charge of the Palace. They dominated, you know, and it was also fans. You know, after 14 months, fans can finally back in the stadium, and you know the stats showed it as well. 19 shots compared to 5 for Crystal Palace, 70% ball possession for Liverpool. You know, then Sadio Mane, you know, the belts he was scoring. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I agree with Pete. I think that the fans have really motivated Liverpool. Alisson's header, they scored that last-minute goal, Trent Alexander-Arnold against Villa, and all these last-minute goals have added up. I think Liverpool have scored more last-minute goals and stoppage time late goals than any other team in the league. And yeah, they'll be disappointed not to have won a trophy this season. So hopefully next year they'll be challenging again for trophies.
Yeah, definitely.
And that leads us on to Manchester City, who could well win 3 trophies. So what do you guys think of Manchester City and their win against Everton, 5-0?
Was impressive.
Go on, Chris.
No, I was just saying it's impressive. You know, they had not really a first team out. They played a few decent players, but I'm sure it would have been told to sort of go easy for Champions League final on Saturday. So to win 5-0 against a decent Everton, actually, not a bad team, Everton, not what they were sort of 2 or 3 seasons ago. It was really impressive, and it was good to see Aguero get on the score sheet twice. I saw it's the first time he's scored 2 goals as a sub Man City since his debut, 2011. That's a bit of a funny stat. It's his last game. He's done it again. But yeah, it was a good send-off for him, I think, and they played really well. And he'll give him a boost into the Champions League final on Saturday.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pete.
Yeah, I think that Man City basically played with Everton. Everton, I think they are tired. Again, like Leicester, they are tired in the season. They lost to Sheffield United. That was surprising. And, Man City they didn't have any pressure on them. And, if you see the goal scorers, we have Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden. So they're all De Jong and, Sergio Aguero, of course. His last, probably the last Premier League appearance. And he scores 2 goals as well. So a brilliant finish for him, for the citizens. A decade in Manchester, that's a long time.
And so do you think Man City are on for the treble then, for 3 trophies?
I am, definitely. I'd be surprised if Man City don't win the Champions League. Especially how Chelsea are now playing. I can't see it coming.
I think it's hard to say. I mean, both teams are in the final, played really well in the semis and played really good football as well. Not just to win the game, but also for that factor of making it a really good game. So it's going to be a really good final, I think. And it's true that City have more of a momentum into the final, even though Chelsea have got into Champions League. I think their mood is going to be much worse. I mean, they have lost the game. Tuchel said in the changing room it was kind of subdued. It was sort of just not. It wasn't like a party atmosphere or anything like that. So it's going to be hard for them, I think, to match that level of momentum and form.
Yeah, and Tuchel lost last year in the final with PSG, so he'll be looking to win this time round. Looking at the final standings, the final Premier League table for 2020-2021, what do you think surprised you most, or what stood out? Which team should be probably most happy?
Leeds United. I think. I say Leeds United because finishing 9th, coming straight from Championship after 16 years not playing in the Premier League. It's extraordinary. They even did a better job than Sheffield United did last year. So I think they could be very happy. They nearly got European football next year. Nearly. They are only 3 points away.
You asked me, West Ham are the biggest shock. I mean, last season they got 39 points, which is not even up to the 40-point mark. A lot of people would see as like a going down sort of tally, going 16th place. They've got up to 6th now, above Arsenal and Spurs. So they, it's a massive achievement for them, I think. And I think the no fans actually helped them because their stadium, the new stadium, is quite sort of it's quite sort of vast, and the fans are away from the pitch, and it can be quite a hard place for our home team. So I think they've done really well. And if you think of West Ham in 6th, I mean, they would have wanted Champions League, I'm sure, and would have been a good sort of thing for Mark Noble. But Europa League is still a big achievement for them. Yeah. The first time in Europa League for probably about 6 or 7 years, maybe less than that. But it's a big achievement.
I also think I'm going to give credit to Aston Villa as well. Last year they were battling to stay in the Premier League, and now this season 55 points, 11th, and they beat the likes of Chelsea, Liverpool 7-2. Remember that game in October? So you have to give it to them, and they stuck with the same manager this season, and it shows that firing managers is not always the right choice.
Are you sure you're not a secret Villa fan, Pete? Because you seem to compliment Villa in our other episodes.
I just like what I see from them this season because they really, improved, and that's many other teams can look at them and improve like that. Wolves are probably the disappointment of the season for me.
I think Jack Grealish, when he's in the Villa team, just adds so much. They're suddenly a much better team. They've got the confidence, just like they did against Chelsea when he's back in the team and they win.
Yeah.
Most disappointing for you, Chris?
Arsenal are an easy sort of candidate on because their expectations are so much higher than their reality. But I'm not sure if they're coming 8th is really much lower than you expect, really. So Spurs sort of a more realistic sort of poor performance there. I mean, they were top of the table in January time when they played Marine in the FA Cup. They were league leaders when the draw was made, and they come seventh European Conference League, which is not really someone's like an Untitled Cup in it. It's not really doesn't really count. It's not like European Cup final 2 years ago now. So I think they can be hugely disappointed. But also Sheffield United as well, who last season were right in the table. I think again, not having fans there has impacted them. It's a really great stadium, Brom Lane, place to work there, and it's a really great atmosphere. So not having fans there, I think, has not helped them at all.
I actually think I agree with you guys completely, but there's many disappointing sides. I agree. I think Wolves were, although I didn't think of that.
Yeah, last season they were seventh, and now they're 13th.
Yeah, Arsenal and Spurs as well. But I do think Fulham and West Brom, and I know you guys will be like, but they got promoted, but they're up and down. They go up, they go down, they go up, they go down. They can't seem to stay in the league. That's why I hope Norwich next season can correct that, because I think they know they need to invest. You need to invest in the team quite a bit, not too much to unstabilize the team, but you need to invest in order to stay in the league.
I agree with you with the Fulham. Fulham, I think I was at the beginning of the season, I thought they will have a good chance of staying. They have good players, and I thought they learned their mistake from last time when they went up. They spent like 100 million, and that didn't help. That just created lots of chaos in the squad. I thought now they have a decent squad. They have Scott Parker, which is a good manager. I thought they will be able to stay, especially with Burnley struggling, like with the financially wise as well. Brighton also lowering in the league. I thought Fulham might, have a chance to be up there. Yeah. It wasn't to be.
And Harry Kane won the Golden Boot, guys. So, well done to him.
It's good for him. I mean, it's going to add to his price tag, isn't it, after the summer? And it almost looks now that he's clearly indicated he wants to go. So it's only going to add to his price tag, certainly.
Yeah, I think we all called it on this podcast before that we think Harry Kane will leave, and I'm not surprised because he will not win anything at Tottenham for a couple of years. They need
I hope he stays, and I hope they force him to stay. And if they don't, if they sell him, don't sell him to your rivals. Don't sell him to a Premier League team. Just flog him off abroad. Sell him to an abroad team. That's what I think.
Arsenal. Imagine that.
Arsenal, didn't he, when he was a child?
Yeah, he did. But I doubt he will go to Arsenal right now.
I don't think so.
Yeah. And who's the manager of the season for you guys? Very quickly, who would you say?
David Moyes. For me.
That's fair. He's done really well at West Ham. Surprising.
Yeah. And he stayed another season. I reiterated my point from before. Stayed another season, and look what happened.
Yeah. Chris?
I'd have to agree. Moyes, I think, for somebody to go back there is really hard. He's managed them in the past. He's going back. So to come sixth is a really good achievement for him, I think.
Yeah. We're unanimous for once. We're unanimous on that. So our team of the week is Manchester United because of the Europa League final on Wednesday. A huge chance for them to win a trophy for the first time in 4 years since that very competition 4 years ago, which they won with Mourinho in 2017. So going into the game, there were 2-1 winners on the final day. How would you assess their form going into this huge match, Pete?
Yeah, I think they are on a streak right now. They have been inconsistent in the recent results, but overall in the season they have been really delivering. They finished second. They improved on last season when they finished third, and now with signing Edison Cavani and him extending the contract, it shows that he wants to be at Old Trafford. He wants to play for United, and we saw how crucial he was for the game against Roma in the semi-final. So I think there are high odds for United to win that match, that final. But both teams, United and Villarreal, are struggling in the defense, and I think Harry Maguire might miss that game on Wednesday on that final, and that will mean that Villarreal striker Gerard Morano can find his way into the penalty area and maybe have more chance to scoring for Villarreal.
Yeah, I think they kind of started poorly in the season, Man United. I mean, in Champions League, had a few performances where Ole was really severely criticised, actually. And coming second is good, but Man United fans, a lot of them still, in my opinion, wrongly, but they do see the club through the eyes of Sir Alex when they're winning titles almost every season, they're winning FA Cups all the time, and they won't settle for second place. So, in my opinion, it's a really good performance. But a lot of Man United fans, A, have forgotten this by October, and B, will think, yeah, it's good, but we need to win the league. So, and if they don't improve in the squad over the summer, in my opinion, they should sell Paul Pogba. I think he's a very good player and make a lot of money from him. And if they revitalise that squad a little bit and just improve around the edges, they could really improve. And if Aguero goes to Man City, as he obviously is doing, they could challenge them for the title. So it's good, but it's not good enough for them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think going back to the Wolves game, though, you think that they did field a weakened team, so they put the kids in, and they still won against Nuno Espirito Santo in his last game. So would you say that they're in form going into this? Because I think they've only won 3 in their last 8 matches.
Well, I would say that it's very inconsistent, but so is Villarreal. You know, they missed out on a European position, Villarreal in La Liga. Real Betis beat them to it. So, you know, they need to win this game to be in Europa League next season, Villarreal. But they will be in the Champions League, of course, if they beat United. But yeah, both teams are looking shaky in the defense, as I said. United next season, well, in the summer now, they need to sign some good defenders to strengthen that defense. But I think there's still more odds for United winning that game because of the experience as well. As you said, James, before, they won it 4 years ago, the Europa League with Mourinho, and there are still some players who, you know, were playing in that final. So I think that the experience will ultimately push them to win that final. Yeah.
And can any of you see Unai Emery, former Arsenal coach, causing any problems? They may know how to beat them.
I'd be surprised if they did, really. I think Villarreal are in decent form, and they have a week off at least. I mean, the game this weekend was sort of a damp squib. It wasn't really important. So they'll have a decent chance. I think Man United's quality is just that bit better than Villarreal, and this would be the biggest trophy they've won since Sir Alex left, if they do win it. So they'll be really enthused to do so. But still, and like I say, they're in the Champions League at the start of the season. It might have been, you know, a chance of them winning that. So Europa League is not really a trophy they should be pleased of winning. To be winning bigger trophies than that.
Yeah, they did win 4 years ago, Chris. So that was
that's true. Yeah.
After Sir Alex. Yeah. So for next season, though, do you guys think that they will be able to challenge for the title?
Yes, but they need to strengthen the defense, definitely. But to be fair, I think City can be very strong, especially if Harry Kane goes to City. I don't know if is anyone stopping them, to be fair, City again. So I think they will get there if they strengthen the defense. But I just don't see it right now. Of course, it might change in the summer. Anyone threatening City, you know.
Yeah, Chris, would you say Man United can challenge next year, or probably not?
Yeah, I agree with Pete. I think if they strengthen, they can. But Liverpool are going to be enthused again next season. And Tottenham, a new manager, might well be as well. Chelsea as well have got Tuchel now, and he's done sort of fairly well, hasn't he? So it's going to be a tough season. There's going to be a lot of teams who are going to be challenging for the title. So if they build their squad and build in defence, like Pete says, then yes, they can. But it's not in any way sort of a natural progression for the squad they've got now, I don't know.
Yeah, I think United, if they did get Jadon Sancho, or if they maybe got another defender in and another midfielder, they might be able to. But Solskjaer has been able to make them win virtually every game, and they've won games late on. So they look like they're starting to build a winning streak, and they've also, with the amount of wins that they've recorded, away wins, it was a new record for consecutive away wins. But yes. And going on to the Champions League final, guys, Chelsea against Manchester City, and Sheikh Mansour are paying for the fans' expenses. What do you guys feel of that, about all of that?
Yeah, it's great that he's paid the expenses. That's a really good sort of gesture. Owners have come under fire a lot recently, and he sort of followed Leicester's lead, I guess, in that sense. But it'll be a really good game, I think. I think City will be more likely to win than Chelsea. They're a better team, full stop, as we know, in the league. Chelsea have beaten them in the FA Cup, but I think that City are just a better team. If you send off Aguero, if he wins the Champions League for the first time, it'd be a huge sort of send off for him. But also, they've never won it, and that'd be a huge sort of achievement for them if they do. So I think they'll be really encouraged to play really well and do what they can to win the European Cup. So I would back them, City.
I would agree with Chris in backing City, but to be fair, it's a final, and it depends on the form of the day, on the disposition of the day. So Chelsea might look weak right now because of the recent performances in the FA Cup final, in the game against Aston Villa. Not a great win against Leicester, but it's the disposition of the day. They will be resting and putting all effort for that final on Saturday. So you never know. It's a final between two great teams and two great managers, Guardiola and Tuchel. In terms of the Sheikh paying for the expenses for fans, it's a great gesture, and I can see some of the owners trying to redeem themselves from the old the Super League thing, which is it is good. More of owners like that, I think, would be good.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I wonder why I did it. I think Man United put 20% towards fans' travel, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to double check that, but that's what I think I heard. I'm going to say Man City as well. I think that they'll be on a high. They've got 2 trophies in the bag. Chelsea don't have any. They lost the FA Cup final, so there's more pressure going on to this. Like Chris said, they lost to Villa. They lost to Arsenal as well. So I think it'll be close though. I'm going to say 1-0 to Man City.
1-0 to Man City. I'm going to say 2-1 to Manchester City. 2-1 Manchester City. With, I think, Phil Foden might score.
I'm going to go 3-2 to City. Mendy, I'm not sure if he's out for the final, but he was injured in the end of the game, really, so if he plays or not, might have an effect, I don't know.
Going to the Championship playoffs, the final will be between Brentford and Swansea. What do you guys think of those two teams and the wins that they got at the weekend?
Well, I think that Brentford deserved to win at the end. They lost the first game away, 1-0 to Bournemouth, but the second game they were losing 1-0 and they came back from 2-0 on aggregate to 3-2. And I think the attitude from Bournemouth players, when I watched it, it was like kind of very cocky. So they didn't deserve it at all. And I think they were like 6th in the Championship, so they bottled it. They had a good lead. And Brentford, after second season finishing 3rd, they are getting closer and closer for that Premier League. I hope they will. I'm rooting for Brentford to be back, to progress to the Premier League. They have great players and they are very consistent. They proven that this year again.
Yeah, I hope Brentford go up as well, because they were top 2 most of last season, and then they bottled it in the final weeks when lockdown and the season stopped, and then they finished off the season after lockdown. They had Ollie Watkins, and then they sold him to Aston Villa. They had Said Benrahma and sold him to West Ham, so they had 2 star players. But I think it'd be nice to have a new name, like a new team in the league. I think Chris said that to me the other day, so I agree.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. And if you think of Swansea, they've been up and down a lot last few seasons. I've been down that long. Bradford would be a brand new team. Brentford would. So it's very much it's going to be a David versus Goliath sort of playoff final, I think. But that's what we sort of want to avoid. We've seen that Fulham, Sheffield United, and West Brom have gone down. They're three teams that have not long come up, and it's the same in terms of going up as well. It's Norwich and Watford so far. Both went down last season. Nobody wants to see this yo-yo where it's just up and down. It's almost like a 23-team Premier League. It's just three teams go up and then same three teams come down. We're in Brentford's new ground as well. Moved into a new ground earlier this year. We really want to see that in with a Premier League sort of season. So I don't think they'll want to stay in the Championship any longer. And even when Brighton were in the Championship, it would be in 2015-16, beaten 3-2, I remember, and played such good football even back then. So they deserve to be in the Premier League, I think. So they'll really be wanting to, mark that new stadium with a promotion.
Well, yeah, I think Brighton got promoted in 2017, so they've had 4 seasons in the top flight.
Yeah.
Chris Hughton got them promoted.
It's a shame for Barnsley, but I don't think they are the losers though. In that game against Swansea, they are not the losers because what they did this season is amazing. From barely fighting relegation last season to the league, from Championship to League One, to now playing in the playoffs and nearly getting into the final because it was only one goal that decided for Swansea. So Swansea will struggle against Brentford. If Brentford show the attitude they showed against Bournemouth, it's going to be hard for Swansea.
Yeah, and I think Ivan Toney is one of their top scorers for Brentford. So if he's on fire, they might well get to the Premier League.
But yeah, I so agree with Chris. I hope that at least 2 of the promoted sides next season will stay up in the Premier League and kind of develop more, get more budget, get more finance. We want the small clubs to develop as well.
Yeah, and moving on to a summer of change actually for the Premier League. Nuno Espirito Santo is leaving Wolves after 4 years in charge and pushing them to the Europa League quarterfinals. Roy Hodgson's going to be leaving Crystal Palace as well after 4 seasons of keeping them up. And Spurs obviously have the vacancy. Sam Allardyce leaving. What do you guys think of all of that? I'm sorry to give you all of that. Where do we start with all of that?
I think we can start with Wolverhampton Wanderers. I think the favourite to take up the job is between Paulo Fonseca from the Roma coach and Bruno Lage. I think he's the boss of which team he was the boss of now. So a team in Portugal, I think it was Sporting. Yeah, Benfica. Yeah, Bruno Lage is the Benfica manager. So I think it's between those 2 managers, and I think Wolves would like another Portuguese manager after what Nuno did with the success he achieved with Wolves. So it is sad to see Nuno go, but I think it was his time. This season, Wolves were hopeless. They didn't really defend well. They didn't play well. They were losing games they shouldn't lose. And I think it was a good time to leave for him.
I think he should have left on more of a high, like done next season, left on more of a high.
But can he? Can he be on a high?
Yeah, I think absence of fans affected their morale and motivation. So the fans coming back, he only got to say bye to them for 1 game. But he did an amazing job. Apart from this season that's just gone, I think the previous 2, they were very consistent. So, and I think they really did miss Raul Jimenez when he got injured. And Diego Jota, Liverpool stealing him. We obviously stole him. So
they were weakened
to their attack. Well, Chris, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it was definitely Nuno's time to go, I think. He's been there a number of years now, and he's done really well with them. They were kind of a Championship side who were sort of floundering the Championship, I guess. And I was saying earlier that him being 13th is like a bad season for them. It shows how well he's done them now. That's not a season. It's very good for them. Going Europe earlier last season, which is a massive achievement for Wolves. So it'd be a tough job for anybody. But a Portuguese manager I agree, is the way to go sort of for them. They need to sort of carry on his legacy, I think. And I'm sure he'll have a role in appointing his successor, I think.
And what next for Nuno, do you guys think?
Who knows, I guess. It's difficult to say.
Who knows for Nuno?
And perhaps he'll go back to Portugal or is in international sort of management. I can't see him taking on another Premier League team. I can imagine him going elsewhere.
Okay. And Roy Hodgson, thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you were trying to speak, Pete, but you were muted. But while you were mute, I just say that I think that's probably his last job in football. I can't see him taking on anybody else. And it'd be a tough job for anybody to fill. There's a few candidates, I guess. I mean, Chris Wilder is a candidate for any sort of job now, I think. And Eddie Howe is always a candidate now, I think, for any sort of big job in the Premier League. So I don't know any of those two. I think it'd be a really good appointment for them.
Yeah, Roy Hodgson is a great manager, great career. What he did in Sweden for a number of years, in Italy with Inter Milan. I think his career is coming to an end now. He's the oldest Premier League manager right now. And I think he had a good career, and at the end he also managed to coach England. Maybe he wasn't successful, but he had definitely good experience. Well, he had a good career. And for Crystal Palace, I can only see Frank Lampard taking over.
Okay. And moving on to, I think it was, did we say Spurs? Yeah. Do you, I think we covered it actually the other week, but do you guys feel there's any update there with who they might get?
It's hard to predict that, Maybe Scott Parker, maybe Benitez. Graham Potter's from Brighton, but he will be hard to pull away because his contract ends in 2025, I think. So, if they're playing really the poker game, we don't know. There might be many managers. It's hard to predict Spurs and Daniel Levy what he will do.
There's talk that Eric Ten Hag signed a 1-year contract at Ajax.
He extended it.
Yeah, for 1 year, but Spurs still want him. And it's ironic because obviously Spurs beat them in the 2019 Champions League semi-finals. But I'm not sure what will happen with that. Chris, do you have any insight on who Spurs are going to get?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I said a few weeks ago that Warren Mason might stay on. Now I think that, he's not done so well in the last few games, and especially if Kane leaves, it'll be a tough job for him to carry on with as his first sort of big job. So, it's just hard to say, really. Eddie Howe would be a good appointment, but I can imagine Ryan Mason might stay on in sort of a coaching role or something. Perhaps that.
Yeah.
But with Kane likely leaving now, they're going to have to replace him somehow, aren't they?
Yeah. And what's next for West Brom then, with Sam Allardyce getting his first relegation as manager? What's going to be next for West Brom?
I think that the favourite to take over is Chris Wilder for them. I think he'll be a great coach for them. What he did with Sheffield United in the Championship, he got them to the Premier League. He had a good run. So I think he'll be great for West Brom. I don't see why they should find anyone over.
Pete, you should be like a consultant recommending these teams who you should get.
Exactly. It'd be hard whoever goes in there. I mean, I'd be expecting to get playoffs next season. I think the Hawthorns, I think they see themselves as a Premier League team, and whoever goes will need to get sort of top 6 in the Championship and achieve more than a sort of mid-table position. So it's a tough job, I guess, for anybody. But the fact that Sam Allardyce, who is a proven manager at all the clubs he's been in, he's never been relegated. There's not able to do it there. It proves how much of a hard job it is.
Yeah. Cool. And I think we'll finish off the show with how everything panned out with the European leagues. So Atletico Madrid won La Liga for the first time in 7 years since 2014 to break the Barca Real stranglehold. How's everyone feeling about that?
great. Finally someone else. And Diego Simeone, I think it's his second La Liga title with Atletico Madrid, but I think he really wants that Champions League. He was close twice, and he will try again next year. Great manager. Very faithful to the club. Luis Suarez, I think he showed that he can be still a good player even to the Barcelona. I think that was kind of like in your face.
Yeah, I think Barcelona, like they said, he was too old at 33, and he's played an amazing season. He got them that goal the other weekend that helped them to win 2-1. Then he helped them this weekend with the goal that made it 2-1. He scored some big goals, and he was a close friend of Lionel Messi. Messi slated the club for selling him. They shouldn't have sold him. And Barcelona, when they sold David Villa to Atletico Madrid went on to win the title that season, 2013-2014. And then they sold Suarez to them this time and didn't learn from their mistake, and Atletico won again.
Exactly. Yeah. It's really good to see all these sort of teams in Europe who don't normally win their leagues do so. I mean, Atletico won, and Lille another, and also in Italy, Inter Milan have won it. Juventus are not anywhere near the top now, even with Ronaldo. So it is really good to see all these teams who are not really traditionally sort of top teams doing so. I guess they've not broken it in Germany or England, but certainly in the rest of Europe they have to.
Definitely, Lille winning the title after decades. They won it last a decade ago. Now winning it again. Finally, PSG didn't win it. Pochettino bottled it like he did with Spurs at the end. Inter Milan, another great team. I really enjoyed Serie A. Sorry.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed Serie A this season. It's a shame that Juventus made it in top 4. I really wanted them to be out of it, but I'm glad that AC Milan, which is the team that I support from Italy, that it came second. It's an improvement from them after I think they finished 7th or 6th last season. So it's all going in a great direction in Italy.
Yeah, it's nice to see the Milan teams come back, because Inter Milan were, I think it was
2010.
2009, 2010, they were dominant with Jose Mourinho, and then AC Milan
2007.
2007 won the Champions League, and they were a good Champions League team that have won it more times than
7 times. I think 7 times.
7 times more than Liverpool, and so they'll be back in it next season, Europe's top table. And Sporting Lisbon, guys, they overcame Porto to win the league by 5 points.
Yeah, great achievement. But
legal for them.
But to be fair, I didn't follow Portuguese league and Dutch league this season, so I cannot say much. I think Ajax is not a surprise overall. But Sporting Lisbon, fair play to them. I think they had tough rivals like Porto, like Benfica, Braga. There are tough rivals. There are tough teams in the Portuguese league. So well done for them for winning it.
Yeah. Will anyone ever stop Bayern ruling in Germany?
Yeah, I think Red Bull Leipzig will finally do it.
Yeah, I'm not sure who's worse, Bayern or Leipzig, but hopefully we can see a Dortmund or something like that.
Yeah.
Take on their stranglehold.
Yeah, maybe Wolfsburg again, or maybe
Stuttgart.
Or Borussia. Is it Mönchengladbach?
Yeah, they're a good song.
Well, I don't see them causing like a big upset, like challenging for the title. I think it's going to be, to be fair, Borussia Dortmund, Leipzig, and Bayern Munich are all the 3 that are always in it. This year Eintracht Frankfurt actually did well. Wolfsburg did well, but next season they might fall off. Like Schalke is disappointing to see Schalke relegated. Hopefully they bounce back.
Schalke. Yeah, hopefully Schalke come back. They're a big team. Thanks so much everyone for thanks Chris, thank you Pete for joining today, and thank you for everyone tuning in. And we're going to take a break next week, but then we will be back for the coverage of the Euros, and we hope to see you then. Thank you. Goodbye.